Make sure the ones that you love know that you love them. Just make sure that anybody that you love or that had an impact on your life knows the effect they had on your life growing up. I try to always remind myself to do that as I get older because when you get my age, you start realizing the people that were part of your childhood and molding you as a youth, they are now at the age where they start to pass away. And I got that reminder again the other day. I got a text message from my brother Rob. We grew up playing football together, and we came across each other again some years ago, coaching baseball against each other. Had no idea that we would run into each other, but we did, playing fall baseball. And the two teams that were playing that day happened to be my team and his team. So we reconnected. Pretty awesome. But Rob had sent me a text message the other day, and he says, "Hey, I don't know if you know yet, but Hildy Starling texted me or called me and let me know that Coach Starling passed away." And I had to take a minute to pause because that's a name I haven't heard in a while. I used to play for this organization called the Berryessa Cougars, and that organization was a real big part of my life growing up. Taught me how to be tough, taught me the game of football. It gave me friends for a lifetime, like Rob and many others. And it was just a key component to my life growing up, probably from the age of hmm, maybe 11 or 12 to 14 to 15, something like that. I played there probably 4 years. The coaches there were one of a kind, man. They were. I tell everybody that asks me about sports when I played. I tell everybody that if we had those coaches nowadays, they probably would end up on the news because they were so hardcore. But when you ask me about them, I tell you that I love those coaches. I love those types of coaches. And I would prefer to play for those coaches every day of the week and twice on Sunday because those coaches just knew how to get it out of you. They knew how to push you to a limit that you didn't think you were capable of. And I was telling my son, Jordan, coaches like that, if they don't acknowledge you at practice or during the games, you should worry about it because they don't, then you're not an integral part of what they're trying to do with that football team or that baseball team. Now, those types of coaches, if they're on you all the time, it's because they know you and because they know that you're capable of so much more and they expect more from you. So, me, I naturally gravitated towards coaches like that. Coach Starling was A hell of a coach, man. His son played with us, and he was a running back, and he reminded me of this breakdancer, Crazy Legs, from back in the days, back in the '80s, from uh, from New York. Because when Hildy Starling would run, his legs were kind of like he had this style of running that was amazing as a kid, but his legs would kind of kick out and they were kind of wild. But he was so super talented. And I remember being a kid thinking, man, this guy's like Crazy Legs, man. He's all over the place, but damn, is he fast and damn, can he move? And that was Hildy. That was Coach Starling's son. And Coach Starling was part of a coaching staff that was just, it was a group of men that I had never been around before. And I had to learn how to be coached like how they were coaching. We had Coach Rodriguez, we had Coach Mathis, Coach Freitas, and all of these men were hard nosed. They were going to get the best out of you, whether you liked it or not. And I know today parents struggle with that. You get a coach like that, parents don't know how to deal with a coach like that because they think the coach is being mean or too hard because their baby is getting his feelings hurt. When in actuality, they see something in your child that makes him special, and they are hell bent on getting the best out of that kid. Now, Coach Starling was that guy. He was one of them. And when I got the text message from Rob, I just started going down the memory of all of my coaches that helped mold me into the kid that I was and are a major reason why I am the way I am today, including being the father that I am today. Starling was a great coach. He was hard, but he was great. And he pushed you. He expected a lot. We ran a lot. Didn't matter if we won. If we had some turnovers or whatever, we were running, period. I don't care if you won by 40 points. You're running after the game. These are the things we messed up on. We're running. And for a kid who's still in middle school, sometimes that's hard to deal with. But I did it. And I'm glad I did. I was joking with Rob saying, that those were the times that I remember running to make weight with the plastic garbage bag underneath my shoulder pads. Now I know that that's super illegal and frowned upon these days in football for youth football, but back in my day, if you were close to not making weight for a game, the coaches would tell you, "Hey, take this trash bag, put it around you, put it on you, like take your shirt off and everything, wear the trash bag, and then put your t-shirt on, then put your shock pads on, which were pads that went underneath your shoulder pads, and then put your shoulder pads and your jersey on, and then go run, just run." And that's when I learned how to do that. And every time I made weight. I started thinking about my coach from Berryessa Cougars, Coach Mathis. This is another coach. I don't know if he's still alive. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he passed away. He was older when we were kids. And I remember him calling me, giving me the nickname Dirty Ray. And I told my son about this, and he said, "Why did they call you Dirty Ray?" I said, "Because he used to put me in front of the kids after a football game and say, 'Look at me. Look at me and then look at this kid. Look at Ray. If you're not ending your football game looking like this, looking like Dirty Ray, then you're not doing enough. This is what you should look like after a game.' Because what he looks like tells me he was out there getting after it. And every game we had, every practice, he would call me Dirty Ray. Dirty Ray, even if I made a mistake. Dirty Ray, what the hell's wrong with you? Get up and make the damn play. Line it up again." And it stuck with me. He was hard, man. Coach Mathis broke his wrist, I believe, at practice one day. We were running drills, like defense was going up against the offense, and we ran this run play that was a sweep, and the running back went got blasted outside the lines, and Coach Mathis was standing there, and he actually flipped, and he got hit and was flipped and tried to break his fall with his hands and broke I believe it was his wrist, and he ended up having to be taken to the hospital. But I'll tell you what, man, very next practice he was out there with a cast. He didn't give a fuck, not one, and he was as loud as ever. Those were my football coaches. And then I started thinking about my coach for baseball, Rudy Mendoza. And although it was for baseball, he was the same type of coach. He'd be in your face, didn't take no shit, didn't want to hear your excuse. If you made a mistake, own it and say, "I'll get better." And if you didn't own it, he was going to sit your ass down on the bench until you figured it out. Um, he passed away some years ago from a heart attack. He had a heart attack in the shower. And man, I got that call from a friend of mine as well. I wasn't able to get to his funeral because it was in Arizona, but I sure wish I would have gone. These men that I'm talking about were hard, man. They were hard men. They didn't take no shit, and they didn't care that you were kids. They expected every ounce of effort from you. And if you weren't giving it, they were going to get it out of you. And they are the reason why when I am hired or called to coach, they are the reason why I coach the way I do. I am a very hard coach to play for. I'm very aggressive. I expect a lot. I'm very vocal. I'm loud. I have had meetings with parents where I have told them we are not going to see eye to eye. Your child is not this type of ball player. He is this type of ball player, and I know that upsets you, but I'm sorry, we are not going to agree. I am a results guy. I need to see results. And if you are breaking down every time I push you, maybe this isn't the sport for you. And I will not change that because it works. It worked for me. I've seen it work for friends of mine. I've seen it work with other kids, and I will not deviate from it because it's what taught me. And when I seen the results, that's all I needed. It leads me to this story that I want to share with you guys that happened this weekend. And by the way, this is episode 137 of the Perfect Mess podcast. And I'm your host, Ray Molina. And I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I get a message from my buddy Kalani, and his son goes to school with my son now, which is just wild. But he says, "Hey, did your son come home and tell you what happened at high school practice today for baseball?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Yeah, my son comes home and says, Dad, the coach just openly admitted that he doesn't know much about baseball and he's not sure, but he's going to give it a shot." I said, "Yeah, my son came home and said the same thing. This was the job that I was supposed to be hired for. But in the effort of trying to save money and cut corners, they hired teachers." So Kalani tells me, "Hey, would you mind if, we got together and ran drills for these kids? Because I think that's the only hope we're going to have because these coaches don't know what the hell they're doing. And I'm hoping that we can train them outside of high school practice and maybe make sure that they have at least enough work and skills and they work on, drilling and whatnot so they're more prepared than what they would be with their high school coach." And I said, "Of course, not a problem." See, me and Kalani used to play baseball together. We played it at my high school. He was a year under me, but we had one of the dopest JV teams that ever played at Independence. That was my high school. Uh, we were a very hard nosed team. Rudy coached that team. He came from my little league and coached my high school team. We were a very hard nosed team. We were very aggressive, and we pushed the line with every team that we played. We were going to make you make a play. So me and Kalani played in high school, and we've remained friends throughout the years. And what was crazy was we set this up to go out to the field on Saturday and get some reps in. And I'm watching the kids warm up and get ready for us to do drills. And it hit me that life just come full circle. I'm watching his son and my son hanging like they're boys, you know, like just really cool friends, laughing, joking, dapping each other up. And I'm looking at them and I'm like, man, life has come full circle. Look at these guys. Me and me and their dad was ballers together at Independence and friends. And here are our 14-year-old sons doing the same thing at the same high school we went to. And it was so surreal to watch. And the funny part is my son, you know, he heard Kalani telling stories about the coaches and the baseball team. And he looked at me and he said, "Dang, Dad, you weren't lying about your coaches." I said, "I told you I wasn't. That's why I was quiet. I let him tell his stories because he has other stories that I don't have. But rest assured, they are all the same with regards to our coach and with regards to our baseball team." He's like, "That's so crazy." And I'm like, "Yeah." I go, "Did you hear his son?" His son said, "Yeah." He said his coach was mean, but he was good. So, yeah, Rudy was, I won't say that he's mean, but he didn't take no shit. It was just surreal being out there running drills, teaching these kids baseball. My son and I brought Jaden out there too to work with these high school kids, but it was just good being out there to teach the other kids that came out there the basics of the game because the kids that were out there are athletes. They didn't play baseball before, but they're athletes. And one thing that I can tell you from a coach is if you're an athlete, I can teach you the game. If you're someone who doesn't have any athletic ability, it I can teach you the game, but it's going to be very difficult for you. So Saturday we were out there and we were running drills and doing all these things, and it was a good day. It was a very good day. We talked about how the kids need to go out there for their high school team and be leaders and help your coach out. Like, why, one of the kids was like, why don't you just coach? I'm like, I don't, it's not in my hands anymore. So what we're trying to tell you guys is help this guy. If this guy looks lost, if he looks like he doesn't know what he's doing, you guys have enough experience on this team and this group right here to where you can help, to where you can talk to him and say, hey, we'll start the drills, we'll do this, we'll do that, and you can get it going. I said, but it takes leadership. You guys have to own it. This is your team. And I explained to them, this is a team sport, but it's also an individual sport because no one's in the batter's box with you. No one's pitching with you. No one's fielding the ball with you. No one's throwing the ball with you. It's a team sport, but it's very much an independent uh, uh, sport, meaning you are responsible for your own actions. This isn't like, team sports where you can kind of hide in between and not be like if you're having a bad game, no one can really tell. Like if you have a bad game in baseball, they know because you're the one swinging the bat or you're the one throwing the ball or fielding it. We did this Saturday and it was just a blessing. It was so cool to do this. Um, and I told the kids and Kaleo's father, which is Kalani, I said, "Hey, we can do this. We can do this again as much as we can in between what the high school is doing. Because I know my kids love it, and I know Kalani's kids love it as well. So I left that day, and I just started soaking it all in. And then later is when I got the call about Coach Starling. And I just started thinking about all these things, all these coaches, and all these men that had very strong influences on me. And then you know, tonight was a Super Bowl, and I'm a Niner fan, but I'm not one of those Niner fans where if we lose something, whether it be the Super Bowl or a playoff game or whatever, a meaningful game, I don't lose my shit and my day is ruined or my week's ruined because now my team lost and I don't do that. I used to do that when I was a kid, but I don't do that anymore. But I bring this up because, we end up going to Jordan and Jaden's friend's house and there's no other men there, you know, but it's the kids that are there. And these are kids that I've helped coach baseball, travel ball with. And we're watching the games and we're jumping up and down on a good play. We're high-fiving, we're doing that and enjoying this game, but also bonding. And it felt like every 2 or 3 minutes, someone was going, Coach Ray, Coach Ray, what do you think we should have did with it? Coach Ray, why would we do that? Coach Ray, Coach Ray. And it hit me like a ton of bricks that this is the bonding that I talk about doing outside the lines. See, I always talk to the kids that I coach about being inside the lines, which means that's game time. Once you get in between the lines in any sport, it's time to turn that switch on and it's game time. But once you're outside the lines, it's a different world. Now you got friends that you've competed against, but you're friends. You've got all these other stuff that's going on in the world. But once you're in the lines, we are not friends. We are enemies, you know? And that may sound crazy to some people, but that's how competitive you have to be. But I started thinking about, when I left with my sons, and I started thinking, you better seize the opportunity, man, because these kids are all becoming teenagers and they're calling you Coach Ray, and that is a lot of responsibility. I think a lot of people may not understand that, and I think there are a few people that are called coach and they don't realize how much responsibility that comes with. First and foremost, I think it's a respect thing. I think the kids respect you if they call you coach, and I think they look at you as a leader and someone who's setting a good example. And I think it's important that you do hold that standard, hold to that, even if you feel like it was nothing that you signed up for. Hey, I just signed up to coach this team. I didn't sign up for the rest of this stuff. Well, anytime you attach the name coach to your name, I don't care how small the job is, you signed up for it. I don't take being called Coach Ray lightly. It's important to me. I wear it like a badge of honor. And I hope that when these kids grow up, they're like me and they say, you know, Coach Ray was so hard on us, so difficult. But damn if he didn't teach me the game. And damn if I wasn't better because of what he taught me. There were times that I thought he hated me. There were times that I didn't think he liked me very much. But I was wrong because what he was doing was telling me, I believe in you, but do you believe in yourself? Because right now you're pissing me off. You're better than what you're doing right now. I don't know who the hell you are right now, but you better figure it out. Figure it out. One can only hope that these kids grow up and have these same memories that I have about my coaches. I pray that I am so lucky. Jordan said something to me about the baseball drills that we ran on Saturday at the park with some of the kids from Independence. When we were driving home, he says, "Dad, you were gabbing so much today." And that means I was talking a lot. And I said, "Okay, was that a bad thing?" He said, "No, no, no, no. Don't take that wrong." He goes, "No, you were gabbing, but you were giving so much information. It was awesome. Like you were giving information to the kids who hadn't played, and you were telling them so much, and they were taking in all the information. Everything you were gabbing about was on point." And I said, "Okay." I said, "I'm glad you feel that way." He goes, "No, it's important because these kids never played and you have so much baseball knowledge." And it was cool. Like I've heard all these stories before because you're my dad, but they needed to hear that. And that made me feel good. I'm going to miss my coach, man. And I hadn't seen him in a very long time because life just works out that way. and I don't even know if he still lives locally. But I'm gonna miss my coach, man, because he had a major impact on my life, and he probably didn't even know it. He didn't know that someone like me appreciated him yelling at me and going hard on me while I was at practice or at a game. He didn't know that those lessons that he taught me, I have since transferred those over to my kids to teach them to be tough, both physically and mentally. I wish I had the opportunity to tell him that. I wish I had the opportunity to tell Rudy how much he meant to me and share with him the memories that I had with him. Rudy gave me my first job at a batting cage in East San Jose. I just worked there and I ran the batting cages, my first job. I just wish I had an opportunity to say goodbye. You know, Gary V, this is going to sound super off topic, but Gary V has this thing where he says, "Your funeral is what's going to say the most about you." I am living with my funeral at the forefront. And he said, when you're dead and gone, the people that are going to speak about you and for you, they will tell you the story. They will tell you what your life was worth. They will tell you the impact you had on people, not you. That always hit home for me because I pray that I have the effect on the kids that I coach at every level that these other coaches had on me. I pray. I pray that when I'm gone, there are kids, grown ass men who are grown ass men that get up on that mic and say, this guy helped change my life. This guy taught me the game of baseball or taught me the game of football. This guy gave a fuck about me when I didn't even care about myself. This guy picked me up from my home when I didn't have a ride to come to practice or a game. This guy was a very big, integral part in my life. I pray for that. I pray that that opportunity comes for me. And I'm going to live my life with the ending in mind because that's what I want. I want people to speak up on my behalf. I'm not going to pull no punches. I'm not going to lie and act like I'm too good. I'm not. I want people to line up and speak volumes about the way I live my life and how I affected their lives. And I pray to God that it's for the best. You know, I wasn't sure what this podcast was going to be about today, but I knew that I needed to talk and get a little bit off my chest and tell you about my coaches and tell you about the coach that I lost the other day. Share that story. But that's what this podcast is about. Some days I got a whole bunch to talk to you about. Some days I don't. Some days I just have stories like this. But regardless, I'm sharing my life with you. And these are just a few of the things that I've been dealing with the last few days. I miss them. I miss those days. I miss the days of growing up as a kid, being around these coaches. I miss them. Sometimes it physically hurts my chest to think back to those days and how life was so easy for me. You think it's hard, and then you start pushing 50 and you're like, man, that was easy. This is hard. But I miss every one of my coaches. I do. Coach Darling, I love you. And I hope you know how much of an impact you had on my life. I hope you know that the lessons that I give my kids are deeply rooted in the lessons that you and all the coaching staff at Berryessa had for me. I appreciate you so much. And I pray for your family. I pray for your kids, your grandkids. I pray that they are all right. But I just need you to know that I appreciate you so much. You made a man out of me. You were a very integral part of that. And I appreciate you. That's all I got, guys. I love you. I hope you have a great night, great day, wherever you're at. Uh, as always, my website is raymolina.com. Make sure to bookmark it. I have blogs, book reviews. The podcast is there. I have an online store. Just bookmark it, raymolina.com. There's a lot to see over there. My IG, or if you'd like to follow the podcast on IG, Instagram, and TikTok, it is at the Perfect Mess Pod. And if you would like to follow my personal page on IG and TikTok, the name is at It's Ray Molina. All right. For those who always ask about donating, it's not necessary, but if you would like to, I have a Cash App. It is $ It's Ray Molina, and my Venmo is at It's Ray Molina. All right. Like I always say, my life isn't perfect. Oftentimes it is a mess, but for me, it is the perfect mess. I love you. Peace.